Hi, welcome back to my channel, Old Porty Sews. My name's Catherine Baker and I'm coming to you from Dunedin in New Zealand, and I'm bringing you the second part in my tutorial series on how to sew my pattern, the Pythagoras dress. If you missed the last part, it's a zero waist dress. It's a bias cut dress with pockets, pretty much the holy grail of summer dresses. As you can see from the sun streaming through my window, it is summer here in Dunedin and we have a beautiful sunny day today, perfect for summer dresses. For those of you still in winter, you can dream and maybe plan your summer holidays and think about sewing summer dresses. Of course, I'm probably going to layer these up in the winter with some merinos underneath. There's nothing like a nice bias dress with a jumper over the top as well, so no reason you couldn't be sewing these as a winter dress. Today we're going to be doing the sew along. I've tried to make it in a nice logical order for you with clear instructions. You're welcome to email me or comment and I can send you the written instructions as well if you prefer to have some written instructions. I haven't got diagrams, just too much work. So enjoy and good luck, and let me know if you've got any questions or comments.
Okay, so this is the top point of our dress, the point that was marked with the star on the diagram, and even though I've marked my pockets on the other piece, I've just realised I actually need to have them marked on this piece, because we're going to attach our pockets to the skirt piece to form the pocket bags. So I'm going to again go ahead and measure 22 centimetres, and I'm actually going to measure 23 because of the top seam allowance, and I'm going to use my chalk pen, and I'm actually going to mark actually no, I'm not. Just going to mirror that. So clip into the corners of these little pocket bag entrances on both sides. Okay, so this is the bodice piece. This point here is the centre front, and we are going to now sew the darts in along here. So if you recall, we marked them on the side, and so I'm simply going to fold them inwards, put a pin through the mark on one side and on the other, make sure they match up. Okay, so we're going to pin the shoulder seam together. But what we're now going to do is we're going to take a little snip into here, 1 centimetre. This is just going to help us to shape the back neckline a little bit. And I'm just simply going to just cut a little scoop in here. Now you don't have to, you could just go straight across, but I'm just going to scoop mine in a little bit just to provide a little bit of shaping to the back neckline. Just give it a wee try on at this stage and pin it together, and just check that maybe your armholes are as you want them. You may want to scoop out a little bit more if you feel like they are sitting too high, and I actually do feel like mine maybe are sitting a wee bit high. Obviously once I take the seam allowance off, there'll be a little bit more gone. Check that your bust point is sitting where you want it to. You can see that this one is going to sit lower than the dress, the yellow dress I'm wearing, but the yellow dress I'm wearing, remember, had the elastic in it. I'm not quite sure yet if I'll put the elastic in. I think I'll try it, but I think it will still sit quite nicely without it. You can see that that's what it would look like at the back. So again, where it sits at the back hopefully is where you want it to. It's probably sitting a bit funny because I've got it over the top of my dress and my bow. But you can see that's the general way the bodice sits, and it comes down underneath your bust line. You can see my bust darts on this one are actually sitting maybe a little bit low. So I may actually readjust those and put those up. Okay, so we're going to apply the bias to the neckline now, and the way I'm going to apply the bias is, I reckon, the simplest way. So we're just going to fold the fabric in half, and it works well, I think, when you put a light fabric. If your fabric's really heavy, it might not work so well. But this, I reckon, is the best way to get a bias which doesn't have any flaring out, which is going to be quite important for this dress. You don't want it to look like it's sort of stretched or flared, and we want it to sort of pull that neckline in quite nicely. We're going to pin it all of the way around the neckline. Note again, if you've got a selvage edge, that you may want to just pin it in a little bit further, just to make sure that you're not including the selvage, or it might be that you might want to trim your selvage edge at this point. I think I'm going to do that actually, just to make sure I have a nice neat finish and don't have any of that white in my Okay, so this is where I'm going to pop some elastic in. I may not keep it, but at this point I'm just going to put it in. And I'm actually going to not sew this whole bias binding down at this point. I'm going to leave it open with the bits of elastic in. And so I'm just going to cut them to the same length as that for now. And we're going to sew across here and just hold that elastic in place and hold this bit of the seam in place. And then once I decide if I do need the elastic, once I try it on, I can sew it all down, or I can cut it off at that point and it'll be fine. Okay, so I'm going to put elastic into both. Just sew my elastic down here. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to lay my bodice piece out like this. And I am going to get my skirt piece. I'm going to find that front V, so that's the one which is between the two pockets, and this is going to lie on top of the bodice piece. Now what I might like to do here is just actually mark in the seam allowances on the wrong side, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark 1 centimetre here and put a big dot here. So this dot is where I want to make sure I match up this bodice piece to, so I don't go right to the end. I make sure it juts right up against the dot on the side, and I'm going to put a pin in it. Now because I've got gathers, this one is going to be slightly different to if you had a dart. So if you had darts, you just pin all the way along. But what I'm going to do now is I am going to match up the end, and I'm just going to give that a wee press because it's curling over a little. Press, press, press. Really should have pressed my fabric before I started. That was an oversight. Okay, so I am going to, now this is straight grain, so it should all just match up nicely. You don't have to worry too much about it stretching or anything. This one is just going to go slightly past the end because you want to match up where the seam will go. And 1 centimetre means that those will match there. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and pin or clip all along here, and I'm actually going to use clips for this one. I tend to use a mixture of clips and pins depending on whatever takes my fancy. Okay, making sure that I catch those pocket pieces in here. Keep on pinning. Okay, then when you get to the gathered section, you just want to pull it up until it is matching up with the fabric that's here, and I am approximately doing it over the top where I put that original bust start point so that it is, that's just a little bit past it because remember my bust start was in slightly the wrong place. I'm going to sort of concentrate my gathers together over about a patch of about 4 centimetres just so that they stand out. Okay, so now we want to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so we're going to lay the skirt out, and we want to put the other bodice piece on top of that. So the part here to be careful of, make sure your elastic stays out of the way firstly, but you want to butt it right up against that. And what you might like to do to help with that is that actually fold that over and have that sitting right in there, and then you can see exactly where you need to sew that seam. So you need to find your center point where you have sewn your 2 bodice pieces on. Okay, and we've got this little V here which is forming our center front bodice. We're going to fold them both back inside on top of each other, and you're just going to add a pin in here to make sure nothing moves or gets caught in this next step. So I'm actually just going to kind of fold that in and add a pin in there. Okay, then I'm going to take that spare triangle that I had. Whoops, I've got all my bias strips here with me too. Okay, so the spare triangle, and we are going to place it over the top of the bodice pieces. So what this means is that once we sew that, it's going to enclose those seams, and then when we turn it over, we've got a nice clean finish on the inside. I'm just going to snip into here. Okay, and then turn her out. And hopefully, just need to make sure that one of the seams sort of goes one way and one goes the other over the top of the other one. And then when you turn it out, it should hopefully be sitting nicely. She says hopefully. It's just going to take a little bit of manipulation to get those seams to sit. And then when we go and pin this together, we want to grab a pin and put it through where that seam meets and join it up with where that seam meets and pin together so that we get a nice sharp join where that backwards triangle joins up, because otherwise it's not going to be a Pythagoras dress. Now I'm just going to try and press this out a little. So time for the next try on, and this next try on is to figure out a few things. Okay, so obviously this is sitting quite low here, so I think I am going to go ahead and just put the elastic in like I have done in my others, just to pull it up a little bit. I'll have a wee look in the mirror in a minute, but I think it probably is just a little bit. Okay, the other thing I obviously want to have a look at is, am I going to add some darts into this one? And again, I'll go and have a look in the mirror and have a look. I think I probably could. And where we want to put darts in is just down from the armholes a little bit, running sort of right down each side of the back, and that's going to allow us to put a tie in. So that is an option 2 at this point. And then just have a little look at how the shoulders and everything is sitting. Do you want to trim a little bit more off the armholes? Remembering you are going to take some seam allowance in here by doing the bias binding, so that will get tuned to the inside. So have a wee look, see what you think. Okay, so I've had a wee look at it and I've decided actually I am going to cut the elastic out of this one, not have elastic in this one. But I've decided my back neckline is just a little wavy where I've put the bias on. So I'm actually going to unpick the bias just from the back neckline and sew it together a little bit. And I'm just going to take the shoulders in a touch, which is just going to raise that front V a little and allow it to sit nicely and just allow my bust line to sit in a different place. It's really amazing the different fabrics and the way they act on the bias. This is obviously a very drapey fabric, and so that bust line has dropped a lot more than the other two I've made. So it is just a little bit of trial and error at this point to figure out where you want your neckline to sit.
Okay, so you can see we have finished the armholes and the neckline, and it's sitting really nicely. So I'm actually pretty happy with the way that that's sitting. You can't see the bottom, but it's very long. It's actually like trailing on the floor. So this was my 105 centimeter length that I did, and I'm 5'2", so I am quite short, but it is still really, really long on me. So particularly because this fabric is very drapey, it has dropped a lot. Debating whether to leave it to hang overnight before I hem it, but I'd sort of like to finish it and show you the full dress, so I may just hem it as it is and then fix it up later if needed. Still debating whether I need to put some little darts in the bag, and what I think I'm going to do now is try it on inside out and pin some in and just see if it makes a difference. Okay, so you can see I have just added in these darts now to the back. They were about a centimetre at the widest part, and then tapered out, and I just made sure that they were nice and even on each side as much as I could. It's a bit tricky on a bias dress because you always get that stretch. You can just see it's given a little bit more shaping to the back now, and so I quite like this without a tie. I think I'll still make the tie just in case I want to wear it with a tie, just for a bit of a different look. But yeah, I think this works really nicely. So all I need to do now is hem and then make the tie, and we are all done. Done. So as you can see, I'm wearing the finished item. I'm about to go outside and take some photos, which I'll pop up here so you can see the full finished effect. It's very tricky to show in a landscape video. Thanks for following along. Please comment below if you've got any questions or comments, or if you'd like some help with anything. I would be happy to help out, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Ka kite.